Hello, thank you for watching. I'm coming to you today from my garage of misplaced priorities, where we are going to take a look at the cooperative game Zombicide by Cool Mini or Not. This is a game that's been out for a while. It is probably the game that gets to my table more than any other. And frankly, that is the reason I decided to start with this one, because I knew there would be a learning curve dealing with the technology, the recording, video, audio, and so forth. And I thought the opportunity to play a game that I knew and knew well would afford me the mental bandwidth to learn the technology the way that I needed to. The game of Zombicide actually has a fair amount to it at this point. There are 3 seasons, as they call them, with two expansions in between them. I have managed to consolidate all of those into 2 boxes. In addition, there is a number of other expansions that have come out, offering various small things, zombie dogs, crows. There are also 2 compendiums that have come out with additional missions. There are further missions online. This game comes with frankly, a ridiculous number of miniatures. We have 2 towers full of those miniatures. And rather than go into too much detail right off of the top as to playing the game, we're going to more generally go through what's here, and then the next time we'll go through the game itself. The miniatures themselves are quite nice. They paint well. I am far from a talented painter, but the Zombicide miniatures, they make it actually fairly easy to paint. If I can get this in focus. If I'm able to do that with the limited amount of talent that I have, you can imagine what somebody good will be able to do with one of these miniatures. I don't have very many of them painted. This is the second one that I have painted. If we can get it in focus here. There we go. The first one was a walker. This one's a runner. It's got some hair on it from something, who knows what. But again, the detail comes out pretty easily, even with my limited capacity to paint. And here is a fatty that my wife has painted. None of these 3 are quite finished. We still have to do the bases, we have to matte finish them, and so forth. But we're going to go through the various types of miniatures, and then after we do that, we are going to try to play a game and see how that comes out. We're just going to run the first mission from the first season, which I'm sure has been seen a number of times, but it's still a fun mission, and that'll help me get a grip on the technology, so as we play other games going forward, it will be able to work. Okay, so go through these various things. Top shelf, we have, these are VIPs, very infected people. There are 10 different types, 2 sets of 5. These come out on the board, and by killing 5 different ones, you're able to get exceptional weapons. Each of them are distinct. You have, for example, you have the hot dog, the guy dressed up in the hot dog suit. You have Santa, and so forth. Construction worker. These act like normal zombies. In fact, typically, if there are no more types of a model able to be put on and you draw a card, all those zombies get an extra activation, except for the VIPs, who, if there are no more VIPs to put into play, you just put in normal walkers. Next drawer down, and I'm going to move these because they're falling all over the place because they're on these corks having not been finished. Next drawer down we have the yellow, which are Skinner walkers. Start with, we have this Skinner fatty. Actually got a couple Skinner fatties in here. We also have Skinner runner. One of the things that's distinctive about Skinners is when you shoot them or kill them and you also get a 1, they don't go off the board, they turn into a crawler. These Skinners represent the walkers that have been around for a while. They're no more than skin and bone at this point, and they sometimes take damage and keep on going. So that involves a strategic element as you're deciding which ones to shoot first. They also have the Skinner Abomination, which I think is called the A-Bomb Abomination, if I remember correctly. This thing is nasty in that it will pull you to it from a distance away. And that, unfortunately, can cause problems from time to time. Our next door down is just the Skinner walkers. These behave like typical walkers, except, as I said, if you shoot one, and for example you roll 2 dice because you're firing a shotgun, and one of the dice rolls a 1 and the other dice is a hit, then instead of taking it off the board, you'll remove the walker and you'll put a crawler in its place. Our next drawer down we have the brown, which are berserkers. Here's a berserker fatty, for example. The berserkers can only be killed in melee. They cannot be shot from a distance. Now the exception to that is if somebody has a distance weapon but also has the point blank skill, they're able to shoot them directly. So generally speaking, you want to have a balance in your party, either everyone having a melee and a distance weapon, or have at least somebody devoted towards a melee to be able to handle these. So here's a fatty. This is our Berserker Abomination. And we have Berserker runners as well. Next drawer down we have, of course, Berserker walkers. These behave like normal walkers, except obviously you have to either melee them or kill them with the point blank skill. Next drawer down we have green, and these are the toxic zombies. If you kill one of these, they do 1 damage to everyone in the square with them. They have toxic blood that sprays everywhere, or toxic fumes within their body. So as a berserkers, you want to attack in the square. The toxics you want to attack from a distance, unless you happen to have, for example, a gas mask, which provides you protection from the toxic. So again, you want to balance. You want to be able to kill some at a distance, kill some up close. So this is our toxic. This is a toxic runner. You also have, obviously, a toxic fatty. You can imagine how that's going to look painted up. Although I am not so optimistic as to think that I will somehow have the time to paint all of these, but you can imagine, right? You can dream. And here is our toxic abomination. Even getting some of these painted is going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Next drawer down we have toxic walkers. Again, these are like the regular walkers, except they will damage anyone who's in the square with them if and when they're killed. Last drawer on this tower, we have seeker zombies. These are the black ones. These move like regular zombies, are targeted like regular zombies, but they have one difference. Whenever you draw a card that puts seeker zombies on the board, all seeker zombies get an extra activation. That makes seeker zombies, well, they're not the highest priority. That would still be dogs, and runners are a little bit more dangerous as well. But you have to pay more attention to the seeker zombies, because it's a number of times I've had 3 seeker cards come one right after another. When that happens, your careful plans could all just go up in smoke. So you don't like that. I don't like that. So whenever you see seeker zombies on the board, it attracts a little attention. You're trying to be a little bit more careful about them. With that, we're going to move over to our other tower here. At the top we have companion animals, or companions. We have, here's a dog. See if I can get a little bit better light on this. Got a dog here. And we also have various different types of companions that you can have in the adventure. Second drawer down, these are our characters. You have basic characters that come in the various adventures, and then you have some specific characters that can either make the game a lot potentially make the game a lot easier. For example, let's find him here. This is Bear, or as we like to call him, easy mode. See, the thing about Bear has a skill called Shove, and Shove in some ways Shove pushes back zombies occupying a square. In some ways that makes the game overly easy, to the point now where if we're looking for a challenge, we will often not let Bear on the table because he makes the game too easy. Another example of a slightly overpowered character, and this is from one of the character packs. This is Maki. She is, I forget which character pack she came from. She has 2 skills that really are helpful. Number 1, she's able to use 2 melee weapons without the need simultaneously, even if they're not meant to be used together. So eventually you can get her swinging around a pair of chainsaws, which makes her pretty deadly to, for example, berserkers. She ends up handling the melee characters when she's on the board. And then the second, once she gets to the orange experience level, she gets slippery. And you take someone who is that capable in melee and add slippery, you have something that's pretty dangerous. So that's what we have. We also have some other that are just fun. Here's Troy. As you all probably know, Troy is nothing more than Ash from Evil Dead. Starts with a shotgun. Average character, but sometimes fun to get to the table, and so forth. But as you see, there's just a large number of them that you can play at any given time. Our next door down, we have Zombivores. Now, I don't really play with the characters turning into Zombivore rules. Never really that fascinated by it. But we do have cards that Zombivores can hit the table. So when that happens, we have these Zombivores, these infected survivors, that go to the table. They have 5 hits to kill them, so they can sometimes add a level of interest to what's going on. Next we have the animal tray. First we have crows. Crows travel through doors, through walls, and move 3 per activation. They only get 1 activation, but they can cover distance pretty well, and they can get in through doors. That can make them interesting adversaries. They're pretty easy to kill. Just 1 hit will kill them, but sometimes they can get places where you don't want them to get to. Next, we have the hardest regular enemy in the game, and that would be the zombie dogs. These zombie dogs, give me an abomination over a zombie dog, personally. The abominations you can't really kill very well, but these dogs get 3 activations, which means that they can go 2 spaces and still attack, or they can go 1 space and attack twice and kill you. They attract my highest attention. Remember the most recent game I played? On my third move of 4, I opened a door, and inside were 4 dogs, which caused me to have some problems. Let's just put it to you that way. A game that I thought I was in firm control of turned upside down just by finding some dogs in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's one of the things they offer. So these can kill you faster than anything else. Next drawer down we have regular fatties. There's some of the models repeat, as you can probably tell. This is the same model that my wife painted. So there are some repeating models, but they do have other options. For example, this is another fatty. They also have a regular abomination. Like I said, cool mini or not, they do good work with their models. I'm quite pleased with these. I will never get around to painting them, or at least not painting all of them, but I have fun when I paint the ones that I paint. And honestly, they still look good on the table even unpainted. We've taken pictures of some of our boards, and they certainly looked like you'd expect a zombie apocalypse to look as the board is full. Next drawer down, we have runners. This is a runner apparently tearing off his shirt. Again, they get 2 moves, 2 activations, so they can move and attack twice, or move twice. And the final 2 drawers are just the gobs and gobs of regular walkers that can easily, sorry if I never get it in focus, they easily fill the board. This is our one with a little mohawk here. Okay, so those are our enemies and our characters for the game. Let's look in the boxes themselves. I may have to set the camera down to open these. We'll probably start opening this one first. Okay, and just so you know, what I've done here is I've just stacked the various maps one on top of each other. This has all the maps in it except for what's in the first season, and the reason for that is we primarily spend our time working from Compendium 1, having done all the basic missions, and Compendium 1 only uses the map tiles from the first Zombicide. So these maps, as you can see, nice crisp corners, no wear and tear. These maps don't hit the table very often. So with that, I can shut this one back up. But that's how I've chosen to store it, is I have put all the maps, except for the ones we use most commonly, in the second box. Everything else I've put in the first box. In the first box we have the cards. These are item cards and cards that you draw to determine what zombies attack you. We have the various tokens we'll go through. These are noise tokens. Zombies will move towards what they can see, and if they can't see anything, they will move towards the most noise. So there are times when you can direct them with noise, and there's sometimes when you make the decision whether or not to shoot or run based upon whether you want noise in a given space. These are exit tokens, which you'll use for particular objectives. These are objective tokens. Most of them are red on one side and red on the other, but some of them, and I'll see if I can find one, yeah, some of them have different colors on different sides. The scenario will tell you why a given one might have that. We have dice. These are the dice that came with the game. We keep them in here to mark the hit points, or the hits left for the zombivores. We also have, these are the dice we typically use. The dynamite being, or I guess a Molotov cocktail, excuse me, being a 6, and the zombie head as a 1. They're just numbered squares for various objectives. These are spawn points. Typically they're red, which spawn all the time. The different colored spawn points, I believe you see a blue, a green, and a purple, or even and a white as well. They only spawn when certain conditions are met. These are doors. We have a colored door here that's shown open, and a regular door here. See if I can find a closed one to show you as well. Yep, there's a closed door. So on this side they look like that, showing a closed door, and then after you open it, shows like that, showing that the door, you've busted the door open. Only player characters can bust open the doors, so there are times when you might want to leave a door closed to force the zombies' movement the way that you want it to go. This skull is for the first player. It marks who's the first player, and then it progresses left to the next first player, and so forth. We have a number of, I won't go into all of them, we have a number of tokens for various adventures and scenarios. These we rarely use. These are supposed to mark what you've chosen on your character as you level up. You start off in blue experience, and as you kill zombies you get experience that open up new abilities, and sometimes you get to pick what those abilities are, and these are to mark that. I don't use them for that. I'll use them whenever I need to mark a square or something of that sort. Again, these are different types of entrances and tokens that you might use. This is a base for the helicopter, and I have to admit I have never gotten the helicopter to the board, or to the table yet. I always end up playing other scenarios. So one of these days I'm going to do that. Other odds and ends. These are markers for the character sheets. I will set those aside and we'll look at those when we look at the sheets. Various things for add onto the tiles. A wrecked helicopter. Again, other various things you just have for scenarios. Here, I guess this is the last of the tile ones we'll go through. These are the cars. On one side you have police cars, and of course I've stored them in such a way where they're police on both sides. But in the middle you have the pimp mobile. These you can search and you either get a weapon or a zombie. The pimp mobile, you can search and get a pimp weapon. Those are supposed to be special weapons. For the most part they are somewhat of a disappointment. Finally, we have the character cards. We'll see if we can set this up here. As you can see, if they'll stay, we have a fairly large stack of character cards. Try setting them here, that might work better. Yeah. Very large stack of character cards. We'll look at Kim first. She is one of the easy mode characters in some respect. Okay, you have 2 cards in your hand that you can use, and 3 in reserve that you're able to keep. You also have, as I said, you start in blue, and you have a blue skill. You go to yellow after you get 7 experience, and you'll almost always get +1 action. In fact, I think you may always get +1 action. Then when you hit 19 experience, you get to pick. With Kim, you get to pick roll 6 +1, and when you roll a 6 on a roll, you get +1 die ranged. Or you get webbing. Webbing has the advantage of cards that are in your reserve are considered as if they're in your hand. Then when you get all the way up to 43, you go into red, in which you get she gets to pick one free combat action, 1 to dice roll combat, or on roll 6 you get +1 die melee. So you might think, well, let's race up to red as fast as we can and get these additional abilities. You would be wrong. In fact, one of the secrets of this game, one of the best ways to win this game, is to juggle what you kill to stay in blue as long as you possibly can. Because whenever you open a door in this game, everything in that door spawns according to the color you're in. So the regular spawn points spawn. If the highest character is blue, they all spawn blue. If the highest character is yellow, they all spawn yellow. The higher character is orange, they all spawn orange. And of course, if the highest character is red, they spawn red. If you can keep your character at blue while accomplishing things that are worthwhile, finding items, accomplishing objectives, and so forth, the game becomes easier. Especially if you can open a lot of doors in blue. Because when you open doors in blue, they populate in blue and are just that much easier. So, Zombicide becomes a pretty interesting tactical game where you're trying to judge how fast am I going to gather equipment, how fast am I going to gather experience, and how fast am I going to accomplish the various objectives that I need to accomplish. And you have to juggle these various things. You have to juggle them in a way that allows you to win. And sometimes the dice don't favor you. Sometimes you're just lucky, and the dice do favor you. But overall, this is a game that lends itself to a good deal of tactical consideration. Now, I mentioned these skills. Lucky, one of the reasons she's easy mode. Lucky means that she can re-roll 1 or all of her dice. And so she's pretty good at mowing down a fair number of zombies, especially if you need a particular roll. She gives you an extra shot at it. Anyhow, so we have a large number of these. Kim, Travis is nice. He reaps. Reaper combat. What that means is anytime he kills 1 zombie and there's a matching zombie in the same square, he kills that one as well. Louise, she gets to search twice. Jeff, he's a sniper, and that gets to one of the most controversial rules of this game. Anytime you fire into a square that has characters and zombies, the characters are hit first. So you cannot ranged fire in a square with other characters. If you want to protect them, you have to get in there and get your hands dirty, so to speak. Now, there's a couple exceptions to that, and Sniper is one of them. Sniper, Jeff gets to pick who he shoots. So if say Louise was in a square with a couple zombies, Jeff could take his assault rifle and fire into that square, hitting the zombies without worrying about hitting Louise. So that's a very valuable skill to have. It makes you a good team player. But like I said, each of them seem to have a different rule. This is Bear. Like I said, he's the easiest of easy mode. You will probably not see him very much, simply because he makes the game too easy. Maki, There's a Swordsmaster. That's the skill that allows her to use 2 weapons at once. She's dressed somewhat, shall we say, imprudently for the zombie apocalypse. Comey or not tried to make a story behind that, but let's face it, we all know why that happened. Julian, that's the other one, Steady Hand. Steady Hand, he's able to avoid hitting. He can't pick out his target, but he's able to avoid hitting survivors in the same area. And on and on and on. Troy, who's Ash from Evil Dead, and so forth. Anyhow, that goes through the game. Or at least the components of the game. I mentioned I would talk about these, and we'll do that briefly. These are just clips that go on the top here, and they follow along as you earn experience. You just move them along. So that shows you the components of the game. Next time we come on, we will play the first mission. It's mostly a tutorial. I hope that I won't have much trouble winning it. But it'll give us a chance to see how the game is played, and to play this game with the technology and the recording, and see if I can't do both at once. See if I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. So until then, thank you very much.